Have you ever felt that nagging feeling in your gut that something just isn't right? What do you do if you suspect that your partner is cheating? Maybe your partner's been distant, or their phone suddenly seems glued to their hand, or they're always going out. Trust your intuition, but let's also take a look at the facts and what's in your power in this situation. Hi, amazing souls. Mireille Nicole here, relationship coach to high-achieving, high-value women who want to live their best life. I'm all about guiding you towards your happily ever after and helping you tackle the tough stuff in love with grace and wisdom. I record these videos for you because I want to help you realize that you have so much more power over your relationship, your marriage, or your dating life than you currently think. Today we're diving into a topic that's tough but important. What do you do if you suspect your partner is cheating? We'll discuss how to balance those feelings of insecurity with a clear mind, ensuring you make decisions based on truth, not just on fear. Now, I know this can be an incredibly emotional situation. The feeling of doubt can be overwhelming. I remember feeling super insecure when my relationship was on shaky ground. My man was acting more distant and going out with his work friends a lot more than usual, and having more conversations on his phone than usual with people I didn't know, and it was literally driving me crazy. But before we jump to conclusions, let's break down some practical steps you can take to navigate this challenging time. Here are 3 actionable steps to guide you through it. Step number 1, approach it mindfully. And why this matters? Well, how you initiate a conversation can set the tone for the entire discussion with your partner. If you come in with accusations, your partner is likely to feel defensive, which can shut down any communication before it even starts. So how you're going to want to do it is use I statements. So instead of coming in and saying, "Are you cheating on me?" try something like, "I've been feeling anxious about our relationship lately." It's a lot more broad, and it opens the conversation, opens the dialogue, and it shifts the focus from blame to your feelings, which makes it a lot easier for your partner to hear you. The second thing you'll want to do here is practice active listening. So after you express your feelings, give your partner a chance to respond. So listen to their side without interrupting, even if it's really hard to hear it. This is going to help foster a more open and honest dialogue. And finally, be specific. If you have a particular incident that has triggered your feelings, mention it to them. So you might say something like, "I find that when you don't text me back in a couple hours, I start to worry." And this is going to help your partner understand the specific behaviors that are causing your anxiety. So let's talk about an example here. Okay, let's just think of a scenario. So imagine you've noticed your partner frequently texting late at night. All right, instead of accusing them, say something like, "I've noticed you've been on your phone a lot in the evenings, and it makes me feel distant from you. Can we talk about what's going on? Or what do you think?" Step number 2 is going to be to get very clear on your needs in the relationship. So understanding what you need from the relationship, especially during uncertain times, can help you articulate your feelings and expectations more clearly. How do you do this? Start off with self-reflection. So take a bit of time to think about, what reassurances do you need in your relationship? Is it a verbal confirmation that your partner is committed? Or do you need him to change certain behaviors to feel secure? Maybe grab a journal, take a few minutes in the evening, maybe right after you watch this video, when it's fresh in your mind, write down, what is it that you truly need to feel safe and cherished and loved and fulfilled. The second part here is going to be to discuss your boundaries if you feel comfortable. Boundaries are a very touchy subject. I have so many thoughts on them. I have a playlist on my channel all about boundaries if you want to dig deeper into this. But if you're at that stage, if you're open to talking about boundaries, and if you're very familiar with what boundaries are and what they are not, you can use this as a technique. All right, so maybe you can approach a conversation with your partner and talk about whether or not you guys can agree that maybe you'll communicate more openly about your social lives and what you are doing, right? To establish a mutual understanding of what's going on. And the last thing you can do for step number 2 is to really work on your self-esteem and your independence, right? Consider journaling on this, how you feel about yourself, situations that, hard things that you've made it through, right? Things that have worked out for you, serendipitous moments, all those things that show that you have strength, things work out for you, not to not to encourage fake positivity here. I know I can't stand that either, but to really reflect on things that have happened, how strong you are, and just to help you focus on some of the more optimistic aspects of your situation to really help you get to the bottom of what's going on. It's not about sugarcoating it. It's about approaching the situation with power, courage, and self-determination. And maybe at this point, you consider working with a coach or a therapist to help you work through this, because this can really help you build a solid foundation of self-trust again, regardless of your partner's actions. So here's an example. So maybe you realize that what you really need is a deeper connection with your partner. So maybe a way you can approach this with him is, instead, again, of going into accusations, is to really open a dialogue about something like saying something like, you know what, I'd love for us to spend more quality time together. What if we scheduled a date night each week? All right. And again, this is going to help you shift the focus from suspicion to nurturing your relationship. And finally, the third step is always my favorite. This is being the better offer, or really working on being your high value self. I just did a whole masterclass on being high value, which I also consider to be being the better offer. I will link to it here. If you missed it, go watch it. It's going to be so important to help you in terms of your self-confidence and being super magnetic and doing what you can to prevent cheating. Obviously, you cannot prevent any man from, straying, but there are many things that you can do to stay in your power, stay magnetic, stay attractive, and be the better offer. And this matters because improving your relationship just in general and your magnetism is going to create an environment, like I said, where it might be less likely to happen in the first place. And it's not about controlling your partner, but really enhancing that emotional connection between the two of you. Now, how do you do it? That's a whole video on its own, but the first thing you can do is really evaluate your relationship. So I want to encourage you to start off by taking a hard look at what's working, what isn't in the relationship. Are there aspects that could be improved? And one exercise I love doing with the women that I coach and who come into my world in my programs is to do what I call the wheel of intimacy. And I also have a video on this topic, so I'll link to it here. And it talks about the different aspects of a relationship, and you can rate yourself on each one to see where are you guys really strong, where are you guys maybe not so strong, where you would want to start focusing on that area to make it a dynamic, fulfilling relationship that not only do you want to stay in the relationship, but so does he. The second part of this is going to be to really communicate your needs and your wants openly in terms of what you desire in the relationship. So it could be more intimacy, maybe it's more shared hobbies, or simply better communication. And finally, invest in yourself. Sometimes just focusing on your own interests and your own passions can make you feel more secure in your relationship and even more attractive to your partner. Remember, what brought you guys together in the first place? Your husband, your partner fell in love with a version of yourself at the beginning of the relationship. Oftentimes we stray, right? Life gets in the way and we betray who we were in the beginning, right? We lose ourselves, not intentionally. Most of the time, this is unintentionally. But really think, what were you doing in the beginning of the relationship? What passions, what hobbies were, taking up some of your time and making you fulfilled and making your life exciting and giving you like conversation to have with your partner and things to share with him and be excited about. Maybe it's about picking up a new hobby. Maybe it's simply, exercising more or cultivating your friendships even more. But being a fulfilled individual can really enhance the bond between the two of you. So for example, suppose you've noticed your partner is more engaged when you share activities together, right? Maybe it's working on yourself and doing your own things, but maybe you notice, when you guys start doing things together more, that's when he seems really engaged. Because at the end of the day, remember that men bond over having fun together. So maybe you'll want to suggest something like, I was thinking it might be fun for us to do a cooking class together, and it would make me feel even closer to you. Would you be open to something like that, right? So again, really, instead of necessarily honing in on the accusations, focus on the relationship. Of course, don't ignore it altogether, but I just want to caution you about making this situation or this fear of yours just the whole focus of your relationship at the moment, right? And the only thing that you need and the only thing that you're focused on. So really get clear on what it is that you want, getting to the bottom of the situation, but also showing your desire to make things work. And At the end of the day, from doing these things, you will get the clarity you need. You will see whether or not something is really going on. It will always uncover itself somehow, but at least you know that you did your best effort to make things work and really focus on yourself and take care of what it is that you need and stayed strong in the situation. Navigating the suspicion of infidelity can be incredibly challenging, but these steps will provide you with a framework to help you address your feelings constructively. And by approaching the situation mindfully, clarifying your needs, like I said, and focusing on strengthening the relationship, you're empowering yourself to creating a healthier dynamic no matter what the outcome is. Now, for more information on how to get more honesty and trust from your partner, watch this video next.